Right. There could finally be light at the end of the deep, dark cost of living tunnel. New research revealing Aussies are feeling hopeful about their financial futures as our inflation figures finally fall back into target range. But is it all too good to be true?
Australia, we've been doing it tough for what feels like a very long time.
Everything is very expensive.
It's hard for everyone.
Vegetables, man, expensive these days, bro.
But at long last, things might be looking up. New research revealing 30% of consumers believe their financial position will be better off a year from now, up from 24% this time last year. A separate survey by NAB showing cost of living stress has fallen to its lowest level since early 2022.
I do think the government are taking certain means to lower that.
The fuel obviously starting to come down a bit right now.
And perhaps today's inflation figures explain why we're feeling that way. Falling from 3.8% to 2.8%. It's our first time back in the RBA's target zone in more than 3.5 years.
We are coming at this inflation challenge from every conceivable and every responsible angle, and our efforts are making a difference.
But not everyone is feeling optimistic.
No. I'm looking, nothing really changes.
Not all of the current cost of living problems have come from inflation.
I'm not optimistic, no, not at all.
Some fearing the government's household energy rebates may be making inflation seem lower than it actually is. The ABS saying without them, electricity prices would have risen this quarter.
You cannot hoodwink the Reserve Bank with headline numbers with temporary subsidies. This is a government that loves to put a Band-Aid on a bullet wound.
Our political opponents will pretend, wrongly, falsely, deliberately, that this is only about energy rebates. Underlying inflation's come off substantially as well, and that shows that broader underlying pressures in our economy are easing considerably.
So, are we finally through the worst of the cost of living crisis, or is there more pain to come?
Well, here to tell us is independent economist Nicki Hutley. Nicki, let's get to the important stuff straight away. Does this mean we're going to get a rate cut soon?
Look, depends what you mean by soon. If you're hoping for one before Christmas, I'd say that Michelle Bullock, the Governor of the Reserve Bank, is more likely to be the Grinch than Santa, unfortunately. We might be sort of waiting for something to come along with the Easter Bunny.
Do you think that's the right move by the RBA?
Look, I would prefer to see something a bit earlier. The thing with interest rate policy, it takes a long time to come through the economy, and if you wait till you think it's the right time, you've probably waited too late. That said, as long as they go in February, the next meeting after the end of the year, I think we'll be right. There are lots of bits of the economy, that, particularly the labour market employment numbers, that look okay, but we know heaps of people are doing it so tough, so we don't want to wait too long.
The data is obviously looking much better than it was, but I suspect many of us are not quite feeling like that when we're spending and looking at the bills coming in. Why doesn't the way we're experiencing it match the numbers?
Well, you've got to remember that even though inflation is coming down, inflation is measuring the change in prices. And what we're seeing is prices are still going up. They're just not going up by as much as they were a year ago. So it's not like for most goods you're seeing big declines in prices, although some things like petrol obviously have gone down. So it's still hard, and our wages are only just starting to keep up with it. So it's been a long time since we've had wages growing faster than inflation. It's just starting to happen now. So we should start to feel better, but it's been a long time coming.
But, Nicki, so even if we are over this hump, are there some price pressures that, won't ease for consumers? They'll just stay at the price they are now?
Well, pretty well most things will not only stay, they'll actually keep rising. And one of the things that's really worrying, when you see things like insurance costs, those have gone up really, really strongly and are continuing to do so. We've got rental pressures. The cost of building houses is very, very high, adding to the problem of supply. So there's still a lot of things, whilst we should be cautiously optimistic and feel that things are getting better, it's not like we don't face any particular problems.
OK, Nicki, thanks for your time.
Thanks so much for having me.